Hey everybody, it's Alex, the founder and CEO of Motoroso.com, your dedicated mods marketplace. And today we're in the studio to do an installation guide on the catback exhaust system on a 2017 and up Gen 2 Ford Raptor with a 3.5 liter EcoBoost. We're gonna be installing the Corse Sport catback exhaust system, then the Resonator Delete Extreme X pipe, and then the SPD High Flow catted downpipe. And we're gonna show you the different sound recordings at the end of each of the different levels of sound. Should be pretty straightforward installation, the downpipe being the hardest part. We'll show you step by step how everything goes. And if you're looking to shop for these parts and accessories, make sure you go to Motoroso.com where you can browse over 1 million top name brand products. We've got live chat agents, and you can call us toll free at 833-668-6767. That's 833-MOTOROSO. Let's get started.
Remove the four 13mm bolts from the transmission brace. Support the transmission with a jack stand. Remove the transmission cooler line bracket by removing the two 10mm bolts from the transmission crossmember. Undo the two 21mm bolts from the transmission crossmember. Remove the resonator from the downpipe using the 15mm bolts and 15mm nuts for the clamp. In cases with extreme rust where the pipes don't come apart, a grinder will be needed to cut off the clamp. Use penetrating oil on all the metal clamps. Disconnect the exhaust clamps at the joints using a 15mm socket. Disconnect all the exhaust hangers from the muffler back using a 10mm socket. After the muffler, the exhaust clamp has an extra safety bracket that needs to be bent back to release the exhaust pipe from the muffler. Undo the front muffler hanger by removing the two 10mm bolts and the rear hanger with a 10mm. Undo the three 15mm nuts connecting the muffler to the resonator and remove the muffler. Reinstall the rear hanger for the muffler. Now remove the transmission cross member by removing the four 15mm bolts and two 10mm heat shield bolts. Disconnect all four O2 sensors, doing two in the engine bay and two underneath. Disconnect the four 15mm bolts from the turbo downpipes and the four 15mm bolts from the transmission mount. Remove the heat shield on the passenger side to gain full access to the 15mm bolts for the transmission. Remove the downpipe assembly from the truck. Use a 22mm wrench to remove the O2 sensors from the OEM downpipe and transfer them to the new downpipe, making sure that you transfer them to the same port on the new downpipe. Transfer the transmission mount to the crossover pipe on the new downpipe. Install the crossover pipe and driver side downpipe starting with the transmission mounting bracket, reusing the four 15mm OEM bolts. Hang the downpipes on the back of the turbos, making sure to line them up to the crossover pipe loosely, tightening up the downpipes to the turbo. Hang the downpipes on the back of the turbos, making sure to line them up to the crossover pipe, and then just loosely tightening them up. Install the downpipe into the crossover pipe and tighten down the clamp on the crossover pipe using a 15mm socket. Slide the final piece of the new downpipe into place and tighten the two 15mm clamps and fully tighten the downpipes to the turbos. With the downpipe fully tight and aligned, install the Resonator X pipe into the downpipe reusing the OEM downpipe. Reconnect the O2 sensors, 2 below and 2 in the engine bay, and the heat shield for the downpipe reusing the 10mm bolts. Reinstall the transmission crossmember reusing the 4 15mm bolts and nuts. Jacking the crossmember into place may be needed to properly align the bolt holes. Tighten down all 4 15mm bolts to hold the crossmember up, and tighten the 2 10mm mounting bolts for the heat shields onto the crossmember. Tighten the transmission mounting point to the crossmember reusing the 2 21mm nuts. Reinstall the transmission cooler line to the crossmember reusing the 2 10mm bolts. Reinstall the underguard reusing the 5 13mm bolts. Reinstall the transmission mount support bracket reusing the 4 13mm bolts. With the front back together, continue installing the rest of the exhaust. adding the extension pipes for the X-pipe using the supplied clamps. Install the muffler by sliding it into the rear hanger first, then into the X-pipe reusing the OEM clamps. Install the front muffler hanger reusing the two 10mm bolts. Install the last two exhaust pipes using the supplied clamps, starting by reinstalling the exhaust hangers using a 10mm socket. Install the passenger side pipe into the hanger first, then loosely install the pipe onto the muffler using the supplied clamps. When installing the pipes coming from the muffler, make sure you put the heat shield pointed towards the tire. When installing the pipes coming from the muffler, make sure you put the heat shield pointed towards the tire. Install the exhaust tips using the supplied clamps and align the tips to the cutouts on the bumper and tighten all the joint clamps from the tips to the muffler.
All right, there you go. That's your install. Hope you liked the sound and hope you found it. All right, there you go. That's your installation process for the catback exhaust system and the downpipe. Hope you found the video helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. That helps us on YouTube, and subscribe to the channel because we're always doing installs and we're always doing product spotlights and our build projects like our Raptor build and our 2020 C8 Corvette. If you want to shop for these parts, please come to Motoroso.com where you can browse over 1 million top name brand products. We've also got 800 support at 833-MOTOROSO. That's 833-668-6767. And we've got live chat, and we're here to help you find and buy the parts that you need. Thanks for watching.